Beacon Press Audio presents The World in Flames, a black boyhood in a white supremacist doomsday cult, by Jerald Walker. This audiobook is narrated by C.S. Treadway, published by Beacon Press Audio, 2016. And now, The World in Flames. We have been all along the street called Straight, where Saul of Tarsus was led after God struck him blind in Damascus. We even saw the place where they lowered Paul through the high window in the wall, and he was let down outside the city when he had to flee for his life. Beyond doubt, Paul went from there direct to Petra, where he spent the unaccounted-for 3 years with Christ. We thought of that when we were in Petra, and how undoubtedly this is the very place where we shall spend from 3 to 7 years during the Great Tribulation, and possibly also the terrible day of the Lord soon to come. If we are close to God instead of this pleasure-man world, if we are praying always, and watching, and accounted worthy to escape the things that are coming on earth. Herbert W. Armstrong, Brethren and Co-worker Letter. They were listening and paying attention like he was God, giving them a safe place to hide because the world was coming to an end. Iceberg Slim. Pimp. The Story of My Life. Prologue. A whistle from behind. The clomping of hooves. We moved close to the wall. 5 mules lumbered past carrying tourists, led by boys much younger than my 11- and 13-year-old sons. Our guide had warned us about the mules. They didn't always follow orders, he'd said, and there were no guardrails between the base of the mountain and Petra's monastery, 850 steps above. I'd planned to count the steps. I stopped at 12. I was too busy worrying about my wife and our boys, none of whom was particularly athletic. I like to think I was, but even so at 50 my knees weren't what they used to be, and the temperature was well over 100 degrees, probably 130, assuming there is a wind chill equivalent for blistering sun on stone. The tourists who walked by us, going down, looked triumphant. Sometimes they encouraged us with nods and raised thumbs. One man told us the destination would be worth all the pain. We smiled and trudged on. Every once in a while we encountered local women beneath tents, selling silk scarves, earrings, and bracelets made of beads, handheld fans, water. We had water, 4 bottles worth. 30 minutes into our trek it felt warm enough to brew tea. We made the boys drink it anyway. Brenda and I drank it too. When we found unclaimed shade, we rested, and I wondered if this was a good idea. Adrian, our oldest, looked as if he was about to faint. His cheeks had gone from cinnamon brown to maroon. Dorian's mouth hung open like a fish long washed ashore. We climbed. Occasionally, when the steps led us from the mountain's interior to unobstructed terrain, Brenda reminded the boys to take in the views. They gave cursory glances left and right before returning their attention to the ground, more interested in securing footing and avoiding dung than towering rock formations ringed in shades of red, the infinity of blue sky, and 2/3 up, a ravine that wound into the brush where we had been told there was a tranquil, holy spring as clear and delicate as glass. Another whistle. This time the mules charged from above, barreling down on us at frightening speed. Their passengers nowhere in sight, and for an instant I was certain they had toppled to their deaths. But then 3 little boys followed at full sprint, hooting and offering their services. As we stood pressed against the wall, Adrian asked how much longer. I told him I didn't know. The guide overheard me and said another 30 minutes. Brenda removed the water from my backpack, gave us a quick drink, poured some over our heads, and then we were off again. A few minutes later, when the boys complained of exhaustion, I decided to distract them with stories about my doomsday cult, even though they'd heard them before. But they would resonate more here. Part 1. From the hall outside my parents' room, I see my father lying on his bed. My mother is on the recliner by the window. They're both reading, their fingers gliding across large books that I know to be scripture. My mother already has on her dark glasses, supporting my suspicion that she sleeps in them. My father never wears dark glasses, supporting my suspicion that he can see. I take a deep breath and move forward, but I get a bad feeling about what I'm about to ask and decide to leave. As I back away, the floorboard squeaks, and my fate is sealed. "Who's that?" my father asks. "Me." "Jerry, what did I tell you about sneaking around the house?" "I'm not sneaking around the house." "Then what are you doing?" "Walking around it normally." He pushes himself up with his elbows. "Who's at the door this early in the morning?" "On Christmas?" my mother adds, compounding the infraction. "Paul. He wants to know if Bubba and I can go to his house to play with his new toys." They respond simultaneously, a split decision that means my father's yes trumps my mother's no. She asks him at what point during the night he lost his senses, and after he insists that a brief visit to Paul's can do no harm, she sighs and loses her senses too. We wear pajamas beneath parkas, hoods over our heads, our 6 boots crunching the frozen snow. A boy our age lives across the street, and I imagine him tearing through wrapping paper to get to his treasures. Houses in all directions are covered in lights, blues, reds, and greens spread over hedges, twisted around porch railings, spilled from gutters. Santas wave from some lawns, and reindeers run through others. There are nativity scenes, of course, each one telling the story all wrong because baby Jesus wasn't born in December. When my twin brother and I told this to our friends, they said it was a dumb reason not to celebrate Christmas. There had to be more to it, they figured, and after some discussion, they decided Bubba and I had committed an act against our parents too shameful to reveal, and now we were being punished. We aren't being punished. We're being prepared for the Great Tribulation. In 13 months, it will begin. I once tried explaining that to Paul. "Well, until it happens," he responded. "Wouldn't you like some Hot Wheels?" "Hot Wheels?" He nodded. "What kind of Hot Wheels?" "Corvettes." "Is that what you're getting for Christmas?" "It's on my list," Paul said. And now, as we walk to his house, he reveals that Santa has come through. When our doorbell rang a short while earlier, my heart leaped with a foolish thought that Santa had come through for me. Foolish because I've been told many times that he doesn't exist. Foolish because even if he does exist, our house is off limits. Foolish unless God ended the prohibition against Christmas and Santa was on my porch with an overstuffed bag ready to make up for his 6-year absence. I swung open the door, my disappointment at seeing Paul easing when he invited us to play with his toys. Bubba said we couldn't. I said maybe we could. He warned me that even asking our parents would be a sin against Jesus. I'm glad I didn't listen. Paul's grandmother lives with him, having arrived one day from a place where women grow hair on their chins and hit children with wooden spoons. I hope we don't see her this morning, but she greets us at the door. As usual, she wears a bandana over her hair, and her dark skin shines, like my father's dress shoes. "Take off your boots," she snaps, "before you track up the place with snow." We kneel to untie our laces. After a few seconds, I glance up. She's frowning, even as she wishes Bubba and me a Merry Christmas. We wish her one back, as we've been instructed to do by our parents when given this greeting. But the phrase feels strange every time I use it. like some of the scripture I'm forced to...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?